Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. Yeah, it's Tuesday. So I just woke up a little while ago. Well, actually I woke up quite some time ago, but I haven't gotten going yet because I just haven't gotten going yet. But I've got like a list of crap that I have to do today. But I thought I'd get on here because I wanted to talk to you guys about like some of the stuff that I'm going to be working on like soon. So hey everybody, hey y'all. Hey, I'm still in my robe, so I hope y'all don't mind. It's not like I'm naked or anything. Good morning, Pink. Hey, good morning, guys. I hope y'all are having a good day. I didn't even fix my hair, so just, FYI with the hair stuff. Y'all are funny. So, some stuff that I'm working on. So, let me tell you what I'm working on. I'm not doing readings, guys, so don't think that I'm doing readings. I just wanted to get on here and talk to y'all because I haven't talked to y'all in a few days. So, but one thing that I'm going to be doing soon is I want to set it. So, I'm all about like providing more like evidence and more data that backs up what I do because, anybody can go out there and say that they're a psychic or they're a medium, but it's nice to have scientific data to back that up, right? So I wanted to, there are already studies that have been done to like kind of explore or understand what is happening in the minds of those who are psychics or mediums. And those studies have been pretty interesting because they basically indicate that there's definitely something going on in the brain or in the mind whenever someone is doing this kind of work. So what I did, because I wanted to be able to provide more evidence, and usually when these studies are done, they're done in like a laboratory. They're not really done kind of in like the real world environment, and which I completely understand that. I mean, it's important to have a controlled environment when you're going to do any kind of research or anything like that. But sometimes it's also important to get the data or to examine like what someone is doing when they're in their natural environment, because that also is important information, right? So what I did, because I want to be able to provide more validation and more evidence, is I want to provide raw data to people who are researchers that look into brain waves and look into what is happening within the brain whenever somebody is being psychic or they're being a medium and they're conducting a session. And especially when you look at people who do it in laboratories, again, I'm not knocking that approach because they're wanting to control it, but every medium operates differently. Every psychic operates differently. And some mediums and psychics don't do very well in laboratories because it is a very intimidating scenario. I mean, when you're basically being treated like a laboratory rat and you have to provide evidence for something or whatever, it throws you off your game because you basically have to acclimate to that. It's a lot easier to sing in your own room when you're singing by yourself than to be on a stage and singing. That doesn't mean you can't do it. It's just a little harder. And so to be able to do it on a regular basis, you kind of have to train for that. And so most psychics and mediums, when they're put in a laboratory, they struggle a little bit because it's hard. I participated in a study, or I was trying to do a study last year, and it was with this organization where what they do is they basically grade you on your readings. And I was like, I'm on board. Like, I want to be graded. I want to be examined. I want people to like use me as a test subject. But when I began to take the tests, it wasn't very, there was standards that they were supposed to go by, and they weren't going by their own standards. Not only that, but the information that I was giving, they weren't actually like doing what they were needing to do with it to validate it. They were just going based off of the moment's experience. And sometimes when I'm doing mediumship sessions, if I say, yeah, your grandmother keeps talking about the necklace that has the purple rose on it, if the person that I'm reading in that moment, if they don't know anything about something like that, or they don't know about the specific necklace, they're going to say got the answer wrong because they don't know it. But if they actually went and asked their family members, did y'all know about grandma's necklace with the purple rose on it? And the mother comes back and says, yeah, she used to have one. She used to wear it a lot, especially when she was younger, and then she just put it up. The person who's grading isn't going to know that information because they're not doing any research and they're not looking and asking other family members for validating information. So there was an issue there that I had with that because I was giving so much information, and whenever I do mediumship sessions, I give a crap load of information, which is why I provide everybody with a recording, because I want them to be able to go back and actually listen to it. And I tell them, write every single thing I say down, because you may not know what this means in the moment, but if you do your research or you ask family members or friends, they may know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's even more validation. But for this study that I was doing, or this test that I was doing, they were just grading you off of in the moment, like being able to assess or understand that information. So they weren't doing any kind of research or anything like that. And for me, that invalidates the test, in my opinion, because it's not, spirits aren't coming through and treating it like it's a laboratory. They're treating it as if it's a human connection, and they're trying to communicate information across, and it's not always going to make sense in the moment. So I was already having issues with the testing, but then, I was getting a lot of mixed results. Like some people were saying, oh my God, you're like the best reading or the best medium I've ever had, while others are saying, no, what you're saying is true, or none of this is accurate. And it was because of that process that was causing a lot of weird testing grading. So I was like, I don't get that. I don't appreciate that. And not only that, the fact that they weren't sticking to the standards that they had already said, this is how we're going to grade this. This is how we're doing this. And I agreed to that. And then for them to not to go with that, I'm like, why the hell are y'all even offering this? Because this isn't really gonna prove anything. This is like, the test is invalid. Like, it's all flawed. It doesn't work. And so there's another guy, his name is Bob Olson. He's the one that runs the Best Psychic Directory. And he basically tries to have people on the site, or promotes only people that seem to have like a solid background, or they seem to be like someone with caliber and someone who brings a quality reading or whatever. But he also offers a testing for himself. So he actually offers testing. And my teacher, Pam, I think she went through the testing as well, which I think you have to pay for, which I'm totally fine. Like, I would rather pay to take a test to make sure it's going to be followed to the letter than to agree to a free test that isn't followed to the letter, because that doesn't give me anything that I can use, right? So so that's one that I'm interested in taking whenever Bob gets around to offering it, because I think he has to offer it. You can't just ask him. But anyways, so what I want to do is I want to provide people with evidence, and I want to give them scientific information that backs up what I do, because I want to use myself as a test subject. Not only that, but I want to make people aware that this is a real thing. Like, people think that this is just a person saying that they can do this, but if there's physiological evidence that supports what they're doing, I'm like 100% on board with that, because I want to be able to prove to everybody, I don't just do, like, we all do this. The only difference between you and I is that I've spent years practicing and learning how to do it. So I want to provide evidence. I want to give people enough information, especially the scientific community, because they always want to base everything on facts, which I completely understand. But unless you understand that there is an actual thing going on, you're not going to even look into it or try to look for any evidence. And so I want to give the evidence and say, look, this is what I do. This is the evidence that I have to back it up, that's based on scientific, factual information. So what I've done is I went and bought, so I looked up this company online, and they are a really great company, and it's called Emotive. And what they do is they create EEG machines that read your brain waves. And so what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks and months is I'm going to be having this on when I do certain types of sessions, and the brainwave activity, that whatever's going on in my brain is going to be registered, and I'm going to be providing that evidence online for everyone to have access to, for everyone to see. Obviously, unless you're someone who understands the data, you can't really do much with it. But I'm sure that there are people who are interested in the data, who do specialize in examining and making sense of it. I believe that those people will see this information and be able to bring something to the table, because I don't know how to use the data either. I don't understand it, but I do understand brainwaves, and I do understand that whenever I am and this is a common thread across the board when it comes to like scientific research regarding psychic sensing and psychic stuff that's going on in the brain. And the U.S. government did a lot of testing in the 70s. They actually had their own psychic spies, believe it or not. The U.S. military had psychic spies. They were called remote viewers. And they did a lot of research on that in the 70s, where they would put these people in certain conditions, and they would test and check and see what was going on there. And they actually had this group around for several years conducting work for the U.S. military. And then these people have since gone on, and they've been teaching how to do this, called remote viewing, which is what my teacher Pam taught me. So I found this company online, And, well, I was going to say, with the government, with the military, they actually realized and understood that when someone is being psychic or someone is communicating with a spirit or whatever, that their brain waves change and that they start to fluctuate and go through certain frequencies. So if you look online and you go to like YouTube and you look up like hemispheric synchronization or hemisync, or you look up like those, I forgot what it's called, but it's a brainwave tonal patterns where in one ear you hear one sound, in another ear you hear another sound, and then when they sync up, your brain starts to produce these brainwaves which induce certain types of psychic sensing states. So the government came up with this, and they realized this back in the 70s and 80s, and they were using this technology to amplify people's ability to be psychic. So there's actually scientific evidence that supports that. But on top of that, we all know now from the research that psychics tend to sustain a pattern between alpha and theta. Alpha is when you're kind of starting to relax and getting into a chill state. So when you're like washing your dishes, when you're taking a shower, when you're taking a shit, you're in a alpha state because you're relaxed enough and you're in a mental state of receptivity, which is why people tend to have a lot more psychic experiences when they are washing dishes or taking a shower, or in a state, or when they're falling asleep and they're going through that pattern, their brain starts to get comfortable and relaxed enough, and then they start to receive data or information or psychic senses. Their psychic senses become activated. So when you're falling asleep and then you start to go deeper, you start to go more into a meditative state, and that state is actually called the theta state. So when people meditate, or when they're going through deep forms of meditation, Buddhist monks, etc., they sustain a theta state, which is very, very good for channeling as well, because people who tend to be channels go into a theta state. So the assumption is that when I'm doing what I do, when I'm doing psychic sensing, like I'm telling you about your future, or I'm looking into the past or whatever, that my mind or my brain waves have gone into an alpha state. And then when I start to do mediumship and connecting with spirits who are past, then my brain goes from that alpha to theta, and it's bouncing back and forth between that frequency. And then when I go into channeling mode, where I'm actually channeling Aja and I'm doing that, I go into a theta state. So all of that is what the brain is supposedly going through when I'm doing the work that I'm doing. I was interesting because right before I did this, I was talking to a friend in India, and he's going to be teaching me how to play my flute, because where's my flute? My flute's up here. Let me show you. He's going to be showing me how to play my flute, because I got this last year when I went to Sedona. I got this on the way back. I stopped at a store, and there was a Native American artist who creates these flutes. And so it's a Navajo artist right there. So I'm going to learn how to play this, and I have a friend in India who's showing me how to do it so that I can start to practice playing my flute, because I love the music of Native American flute music. But he told me something very interesting. He said that the flute creates a frequency of like 432 hertz, which, for someone who doesn't know anything about brain waves or frequencies, they wouldn't know what the hell that means or what that's all about. But 432 hertz just so happens to be between alpha and theta. And so the reason why it's such a healing and soothing music and sound is because it is basically resonating at a frequency that sustains the brainwave levels that psychics and mediums and meditators sustain. So I was like, what? So I just heard him say that a few minutes ago, and I was like, what? So my brain was like break, all of that. Anyways, so I found this company. They create these EEG machines. They're the same kind of machines that you go to the hospital and you get hooked up to, and you have all those brain things on your head. You wear those caps and you have all those little sensors on your head, and they pick up your brain activity. So when you're doing sleep research, or you're going and doing like a sleep study because they want to see if you like have issues with sleep, or if you have sleep apnea or whatever, they check your brainwave activity. So that's part of the process. But this company creates like an at-home version of this. So what I do is I'm going to put this on my head, and when I do what I do, it's going to register all of the brainwave activity in my mind, which regions of my brain are actually becoming activated, and I will do before and afters, like before I do anything and after. You'll actually be present, like if you watch my videos, you'll be present for when I'm actually doing it. But it's going to show like the activity in my brain and what is actually going on there, so that I can give that data, post it on my website, and then show people who are interested or intrigued, who have the background to understand it come in. Hopefully I'll meet someone who understands it and they can like do a podcast episode with me to help me understand it, because I'm not going to know. But it's good information, and it's for all the scientists and the people out there who are going to be like, oh no, he's looking you up online, or he's not psychic, he's just getting attention or whatever. I'm like, okay, well, here's the scientific research that backs up that something's going on in my brain when I'm doing this. So there's already evidence there to the contrary. But it's just more, it's more stuff. It's more stuff to help people realize this isn't just this like fairy tale or woo or like fluffy idea, like like with the idea of angels and with the idea of like fairies and all. Like, these are just myths and ideas and stories, which are great because they have there's validation to support some of them, but there's no documentation or evidence that's backing it up aside from people's stories or people sharing whatever they know. So I want to give them hard evidence, because I want them to say, I want to be like, look, here's the information, like you can do whatever you want with it, but here's the information. Something's happening. I don't know what it is. I don't know this how to understand this, but I know something's happening. This is the research. Here, do your homework. So it's just to provide more evidence, but also because this needs to be something that everybody can do. Like I think something that pisses me off a lot and that I really get irritated by is the fact that people think that I'm really special or that I'm unique. And I'm like, no, like I'm not. Like, everybody in the planet can do what I do. The only difference between they and I is that I have spent years understanding the process and practicing it. That's the only difference between the average person and myself. So everyone on the planet is psychic. All of us receive communication from our loved ones in spirit. All of us have that capacity. And once you understand and learn it, then you can start to develop it, and it can help us as a community of humans around the world. It can help us to develop and to basically evolve and connect in ways that we've never connected before. So I don't want to treat this as like, oh, I'm a performer on a stage, or I'm, just this person that has this really crazy gift. And I don't even like using the word gift, because it insinuates that I'm special and that this is just for me. It's not. This is for everybody. I just know how to use it, and I want people to learn. That's why I created that free YouTube class online on my YouTube channel, because I really want people to learn how to use this so that they can start to develop this within themselves and have more connection to source, to God, and to all of us as well. So that's the basis of it as well. There's another thing that I got too. I don't know if you've seen this show called Hellier. It's a really interesting documentary, and it depends on how you feel about it, but it's this documentary on YouTube. I think it's on YouTube or it's on Amazon. But anyways, in the show, they use this device called the God Helmet, and the God Helmet basically does the exact same thing that supposedly whenever someone's having a religious experience or a godly experience, or they're having an experience where they're seeing angels or whatever, their brain supposedly has these brainwave patterns that you can reproduce them. And so what the God Helmet does is it's this band that goes around. It has all these sensors, but what they do is they're like magnets. They basically force your brain into a state that is mimicking some of those religious experiences. It's a really interesting idea and concept. If it's been implemented properly, I don't know, because I haven't tested it yet, but I got one. So I got it in the mail. The one that I got is called the Shiva Neural Technology Starter. I got it a few weeks back. I haven't used it yet because I've just been busy and I've been doing other things. But, when it comes to like having religious experiences or having those kind of supernatural or like energy experiences, I'm so used to it that every time I've done something thinking that I was going to have an experience, I was like, this just feels like my normal state. This just feels like what I feel like every day. So I'm thinking that I'm probably going to need something stronger. So this is like the top of the line of how to like affect your brain in that way. So I got one. And so it comes with all these electrodes and stuff like that. And it looked really complicated to set up, which is another reason why I haven't done it yet. So he's got like all these like computer panels and stuff like that. So I'm supposed to connect it to my computer, and then I'm going to run it off of my computer once I have it attached to my head. I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to as well. I'm going to record my experience when I'm having whatever experience it's going to be, if I have an experience, because I don't know if I'm going to react to it or not. But I'm gonna do it so that y'all can see me do it, and that way y'all can kind of get a sense of what this is and what it does and how it works, etc. But yeah, I'm interested. It's gonna be fun, a lot of fun, just to kind of test it out or whatever. But I'm also going to use this device with that on my head as well in conjunction, because I'm curious to see what's the difference between this artificial pattern that is being created with my brain waves and the natural pattern that I sustain when I'm just doing readings and doing my work. I want to see if there's a switch up, or if there's a huge increase in brain activity, or if there's a big difference in the regions of my brain that are being activated whenever I'm doing, both. So it'll be interesting data to add to the research. But I just wanted to give you guys a hey, heads up, and hi, how you doing? And also just to say that I love you and I appreciate you all, and I hope you're having a good Tuesday. I probably will get on here later today to do like a little mini lecture, and so I can pick something spiritual and share that with you, and then give you my own take on it. But I love you all, and I will see you in a little while. Okay, talk to you later. Bye-bye.